What up, y'all? I'm JT, Chef Tickles, the Alaskan Sniper. I'm here with your boy, Chris Easy, Deuces -1, Chris Evans.
What up, what up?
We're joined here with our man, Big Daddy, the boy himself, Faraz Sani.
What it do, baby?
And let's get into it. This is Hoop Session.
Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome.
Welcome.
All right. So, draft is in on Wednesday, I think. 18th.
5 days?
Right?
6 days,
Yeah.
4 days.
So coming up pretty quick, right? Over the weekend, there's not going to be a whole lot of probably like media coverage over it too, right? So just to jump right into it, I think there's going to be like a lot of moves coming into the draft just because of how short on the season is. Like nobody really knows. I think there's going to be a lot of moves like setting people up for the draft, or even like teams kind of picking for somebody else and then trading after the fact. So if we're talking like, you know, top picks, there's no clear like front runner right now, right? You know, like is it Wiseman? Is it LeVar Ball? Or sorry, not LeVar.
LeVar's always number one, man.
That fuck you wishes. So Chris, what do you think is more likely to get traded? Minnesota trading the first pick or Warriors trading the second pick?
Honestly, I feel like the Warriors would trade that second pick almost guaranteed. When you look at their team, you got Steph, Clay, Draymond already as like their core group of players, and Wiggins now too. But I feel like with the second pick, they don't need a LaMelo, they don't need an Anthony Edwards, they don't need a Wiseman, they don't need Obi Toppin, anybody like that. So they don't want to deal with having to progress with a rookie and teach them the ways. They want somebody so they can win now, because Steph and Clay only really have a few more years, maybe 5 years left of their prime. Right. Situations. And when you saw how they traded for or signed KD, they were like, okay, we need to win now as well. So I feel like this is the same situation. I don't know who they'd get with the second pick, but I think they'd package it with Wiggins, just get rid of
100%, man.
That part of the team and just bring in somebody. I want to say Giannis, but probably won't happen, but bring in somebody of that type of caliber, maybe an all-star or just a fringe all-star who can shoot. And just so you can throw it in there, and then you can work with an NBA player who's already been established in the league. I don't think Minnesota would want to trade that pick, but I don't think they'll also take LaMelo because they do have D'Lo already. So the fact that they have D'Lo and Cat and those two are best friends already, and they haven't really had a full season together, I don't think you're going to draft another point guard like LaMelo to basically fill the same role as D'Lo's filling. So that's what I think. Edwards would probably be a good pick for number one for the Wolves, but then the second pick can definitely get traded, I think.
Yeah, I think like, you know, either way you can make an argument, right? Because there's no clear number one pick, right? Like if anything, LaMelo is kind of leading, and like you said, he kind of fits the least with them. And then, you know, Wiseman, kind of same thing. You don't want to bring him under Cat, kind of counterintuitive. But then with Warriors too, it's like, you know, there's something nice about drafting somebody like that who you can just kind of bring up in the system. You know, they've kind of proven that with Steph, with Clay, with Draymond, and somebody on a rookie deal too, right? Then you still have the ability to have that cap room. They have Minnesota's first pick next year as well. They can move that and get some sort of like win now piece, but then also set them up for the future. But something I did hear about them moving would be to Chicago for Thad Young and Wendell Carter, and in return they would get the fourth pick as well. So then they would be able to take I forgot his name. What's that? The shooter from? He's supposed to be like the fourth overall pick. I forgot his name, but he's the big shooter.
Not Toppin, right? Not Toppin.
Say again?
Obi Toppin.
No, somebody else. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I think there could be an argument to like keeping it and trading it. I think Minnesota, for me, is more likely for traded though. What do you think, Fred?
I don't know. It's hard to. Oh, Fred, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, go, Chris.
No, all good. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I can see both picks being traded. Minnesota, I can see them wanting to trade the number one pick now and moving more towards because they just need to start winning. They need to actually start making the playoffs. I don't think just Cat and homeboy Snitch, what was his name? I like him.
man.
He gets buckets, but Golden State definitely moves him though. I think I agree with Chris. They package him with Wiggins.
Yeah.
Get him out. I don't know who they can get though right now with the market that's available, because this draft is pretty weak.
Yeah.
If LaMelo is going to be the number 2 pick, I think that's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Wiggins has proven that he's just okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they can really package that together to get, but
yeah, there's like possibilities of 3-way trades as well to kind of get like, they give up the pick and get off Wiggins' contract and maybe even get like somebody like, let's say for instance they make him available and get the second pick like Bradley Beal. Obviously that'd be ideal. Not realistic,
yeah.
but would be
That'd be
unreal.
nice.
Yeah. So moving on to Westbrook, he's kind of been on, the leading of the all the social media stuff that you're seeing right now. Kind of seems like the front runner is the Knicks right now. They seem to have like the most actual pieces that they could give up and enough cap space. But obviously that's not going to be very fun for us, right? We're going to get a couple more seasons of OKC Russ, averaging a triple-double every single night, and that's a couple 50s. But just thinking outside the box, let's say what is the weirdest place for him to go? Charlotte, Orlando, or to the Knicks there? Chris?
Knicks would make sense just because they have the money and they're a team who would probably bring him in for 2 years and then ship him off once he starts doing good again.
Yeah.
But like the Knicks, it would be good if there was full fans allowed in the stadiums just because of COVID and whatnot. You'll be able to fill like Russ will fill Madison Square Garden every night, I think, at least for the first half of the season until they become shit, really.
Yeah.
Like you said, like Charlotte would be quite cool, but that's very out there in terms of like you don't really want. Charlotte has a good thing going, especially with Devontae Graham and like Terry Rozier a little bit. But if you bring Russ in, then you're gonna basically hamper what Devontae Graham's done last season. Like if you bring Russ in and he's ball dominant, takes over the games, takes over the team really, then Devontae Graham's gonna be like, "Oh, what the fuck?" Like,
yeah,
I came here, I balled out, I should have been one of like the top rookie of the years candidates, and then you just bring in Russ, who's publicly said wants to take over a team just like he did in OKC.
Yeah.
So I feel like Charlotte would be better, but in the long term, I don't think they'd be better because Russ will probably play a couple of years and then go somewhere else.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Especially because, he's got 3 years left on his deal. So, Knicks does make the most sense, right? If they got to give up Kevin Knox and Julius Randle and a couple picks for 3 years of Russ, yeah, why not? Nothing's going to happen in 3 years anyways.
Yeah.
Right. Same kind of thing for Charlotte, but there's that MJ connection there, right? With Russ and MJ there. So, and I know Batum is expiring. He's like $24 million a year. That frees up, right? So that's most of Russ right there. So again, they're not really going to do anything over the next couple of years. If they get Russ, maybe they make the playoffs, best case scenario. But Faraz, what do you think about, Westbrook in terms of win now going to the Clippers? Possibly, giving up Beverly or Lou Will, Harrell, Zubac, some sort of combination, trying to keep that big three of, Kawhi, PG, and Westbrook.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. I feel like they'd be giving up too many glue guy pieces, like those guys that do the work that most players don't, just to get Westbrook. And I think that trio just won't mesh well of him, Paul George, and Kawhi. Yeah, just because I think Kawhi needs to have the ball in his hand, and I just don't think he would get along well with Westbrook. I think, Beverly, Harrell, Zubac, even if you put all of them together, I think that's just giving up too many dudes.
You're giving up defense on that too, right? Like,
yeah, you're giving up a lot.
2 of the 4 best defenders on your team. Zubac, another big guy, just for Russ, who like is not a liability on defense, but like takes enough bad shots that is a liability on defense. So you're like, what do you benefit by losing all that defense in terms of offense with production from Russ, right?
But with Russ, I think he's that guy who goes 100 miles per hour every single game, right? So I wouldn't necessarily say Russ is a bad defender by any means. Like, just straight up, he's an upgrade on Beverly, right? So it depends on how much they would have to give up. Realistically, you're not giving up Harold Zubak and Beverly. Like, that's too much. But if you can fucking get, what's his name? I can't say his alter ego. Patterson. You get Patterson out of there. Maybe create some room on the wing. I think Westbrook, Kawhi, PG as like your backcourt three guys. Like that's a lot of length, a lot of athleticism, a lot of tip steals. Like that's nice, man. If you can keep Harrell and maybe like Morris or something like that. I did kind of think of a three-way trade that might kind of work for all these teams. So it would involve Houston, Utah, and Philly. So Houston would get back Horford. They would Utah would get Westbrook, and Philly would get Mike Conley. So what do you guys think about that?
Utah gets who?
Utah gets Westbrook. Houston gets Horford, and Philly gets Mike Conley. So they're all kind of switching their massive contracts around.
I think Utah wins too much there.
Yeah.
Giving up Conley, maybe another pick has to go to Philly, or maybe Houston has to give up another pick, something like that.
Because I think Westbrook is still a level above those other two guys.
Yeah.
Like,
that's right. But what do you guys think about in terms of like fit? Houston gets Horford now. Harden and Horford, they're going back to having like a nice, more of a traditional big. He's not an actual big, but and then Philly gets Mike Conley. Some certainty with the ball. He doesn't need to have the ball all the time though. That's a nice thing. Ben Simmons can still do that for you. And then Utah gets Westbrook and Donovan Mitchell as their backcourt. Maybe you'll have to get Rudy Gobert out of there. They might fucking get into a fight.
To be fair though, you think, what's it called? When Russ, you think back at the old Utah OKC playoff series, Russ absolutely hates playing in Utah.
Yeah.
So I don't think he gets into it with the fans every game. So of those playoff series, so I feel like even if that trade was offered and it was like sweet money, I don't think he'd personally say, "Oh, I'm going to move to Salt Lake City and play basketball for Utah Jazz."
Yeah, great point. So Faraz, with Chris Paul, pretty much guaranteed out of OKC. There's pretty much no reason for them to continue on with him. The likely candidate right now is the Suns. That makes the most sense. They have pieces that they can give up. It'd be really nice to see Booker with a traditional point guard. But also, the Heat would be nice. Milwaukee would be great to try to keep Giannis. What do you think about CP3 going to any of those three teams or possibly somewhere else?
Out of those three teams, I think the Suns, it would be good for the development of some of their younger players. Apart from that, I don't know how much he himself would actually want to go there. I think he's more in the mindset of he wants to win right now. So I don't know if he would want to go to Phoenix, because I'd say Chris Paul has about 2 more years left of being like, I consider him above average.
Yeah,
I think he's still considered like an above average player. He's not an all-star anymore.
Well, he dragged that team to the playoffs, right?
Yeah, but
he's shown he still hasn't.
Exactly. So I think he has like 2 more years of this. So I don't know if he'd want to waste that in Phoenix. My favorite would be the Heat. I think he would be an unreal fit there, and I think that mindset that he has just fits in with the culture. I think that he can help them take that next step, possibly. But I don't know who the Heat would have to give up. It would have to be, it would have to be a big contract to match, at least, right?
Yeah. Iguodala would probably be the money. or Crowder, but I think Hero definitely is gone if you're bringing in Chris Paul, unfortunately.
Hero just proved himself to be a good trading piece this playoffs. Like, as much as he probably wants to stay in Miami, him playing so well and being a rookie, he just upped his, like, trade stock.
He did. I think that they should. I really hope that they keep him, though. I really hope that they. I want to see him grow in that system and see what he becomes before they trade him, and he can possibly get ruined by another team's system.
He get ruined in OKC.
Sorry.
if Hero goes to OKC, he'd be done.
Oh, done. Yeah, done.
Like, you'll never hear about him again. I don't think. Honestly,
no. They're like 12th seed. It's him. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Schroeder's probably gone this year anyways, free agent, right? So,
yeah.
Yo, boys, I'm sorry. You guys continue this.
Daddy duty. Puppy issues. Yo, Chris, what about Milwaukee? I don't think they really have enough to give up either in terms of picks, but.
Would you give up Bledsoe? You'd have to give up Bledsoe.
Yeah, you'd have to give up Bledsoe. They don't really have anything young. They got Dante DiVincenzo and DJ Wilson. They're kind of two young guys, right? So,
yeah.
And they have the 30th pick. So,
I think he would be good, but he also Giannis has to have the ball in his hands. Like, Giannis is a point center, right? Like, I don't think Giannis can work off the ball consistently. So if you have a guard, like players like a Bledsoe, like Giannis can be like, give me the ball, and he'll give you, like, Bledsoe will be like, here, take it. I don't think Chris Paul will do that. I think Chris Paul needs the ball in his hands quite a bit. And in terms of Giannis, who brings the ball up and, like, he's their offense. I don't think Chris Paul will be able to get him. What's it called? Get him, like, looks that he wants. Giannis will have to change his game for Chris Paul. Whereas everybody else in the league, for the most part, changes their game for Giannis.
Right.
But who knows? Maybe that would be a refresher for Milwaukee, and maybe that'll get them through the playoffs. Because, like, they don't really have – if you don't have a point guard and Giannis is bringing the ball, you just pack the paint because he can't shoot.
Exactly.
So,
they've proven that it's beatable, right? The Heat proved that. And I think they look pretty shaky against Orlando a couple games too, right? So, honestly, I think Chris Paul would kill it there, man. Because imagine Giannis brings it up in transition. If it's there, he takes it. But before, he swings it across the court to Chris Middleton or Bledsoe, who doesn't do anything. Now, if you swing it to the weak side with Chris Paul, two-man game, that's a nice fucking option. And then, and then Chris Paul just runs your second unit, Obviously, putting Chris Paul on any team, it's going to be probably a little bit better. But Phoenix seems like the best choice, eh? I
think Phoenix – in terms of basketball-wise, it's the best choice for Chris Paul. Like, he dragged that OKC team to the playoffs. And imagine what he can do with Devin Booker, Oubre, and DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah.
Like, that's a massive upgrade in terms of the players you're playing around from, like, Shai and Lugnitz or whatever his name is. Like, Danilo. Like, that's a huge upgrade. So it's like seeing Booker play off the ball would be quite fun. I think he'd average 25 to 30 a game playing off ball, not having to be like the primary ball handler and the shooter.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but either way, I think Chris Paul's gone, right? So,
yeah.
All right, so a little Who Says No, our favorite little game that we play on Instagram story.
Oh, yeah.
So in this kind of potential trade here. It's just kind of something fun that I wanted to see. It's more of like a 2K trade, but so in this it would be Philly and Dallas. So Philly would get Porzingis and Steph Curry, a little shooting off the bench, and Dallas would get Embiid, getting that powerhouse big back in the West. So what do you think of that?
I honestly think that's a fair trade. Like, Philly gets what they need. They need shooting. Especially if you're going to keep Simmons, you need to surround them with shooters. Yep. KP is quite decent from three. Is much more mobile than Embiid. Can run a pick and pop probably 10 times faster than Embiid. Seth is one of the top shooters in the league, really. So you have him in the corner. You have Josh Richardson there. You have Simmons. You have Horford potentially still there popping out for threes too, right?
Yeah.
But
Right.
like, would Horford go into the center role? So you'd have KP in power forward, Horford center, which Horford played for the Celtics center, and it worked fine.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, once you put more shooters in Philly, I'd like to see how Doc would turn that team around.
Mm-hmm.
I think with a shooter like KP, you'll probably be better than having an Embiid, injury-wise, athletic-wise.
Yeah.
But you do lose in defense.
Yeah.
But then again, the East isn't really stacked with big men. You know what I
Right,
mean?
exactly. Miami proved it, right? They ran Bam 6'9", 6'8", something like that. They ran him into the finals, right? Yeah, I think in terms of Philly, I think they get what they want. Something that's a little more in line with Simmons, with KP. He's kind of proven to have a good work ethic. It's, something that Philly's been pretty upset with Joel Embiid since day one, right? Always coming in overweight and whatnot. And I think their injury risk is kind of the same for both of those guys, right? So, and then Steph Curry is just kind of like a little sweetener there, just more so for Cap. But then in terms of Cap, Philly gets off Embiid, and then if they're able to, package Horford with something and get off that, then they have room for like another legit star as well, right?
Yeah. And they have Tobias still.
And they have fucking Tobias Harris. You're right, man. Yeah. So if they can get off Horford, and if they have to, give up a pick or maybe take some money back, they could potentially have another star in, let's say, 2 years around Simmons and around KP with a little more experience. I think that would be dirty. What do you think from Dallas's end, though?
But and also on that point, with Doc being the coach as well, it's a huge upgrade over Brett Brown anyways.
Yeah.
So keep people in line probably.
Yeah, great point, man.
Exactly. So for Dallas
and
now,
Brett Brown and
sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say Brett Brown and Simmons have a great relationship, right? Wait, that doesn't matter because he just got fired. So
yeah. But Dallas. I mean, they're potentially cracking top 4 in the West. I'd say, especially
right now.
Houston's draw. If Houston blows itself up, like even if it's just Harden on that team, I don't think they'll still do as well.
No,
Harden needs a second superstar, but you do get that stopper, like you said, in Embiid and the big man powerhouse banger in the West. Because you got in the West, you got who? You got Cat, you got Joker, you got Dwight, you got Zubac, you got Gobert,
you got AD,
like, AD, I forgot about that. So it's like you go through all that, and then cool, regular season, whatever. But then you get in the playoffs and have to play these guys 7 times in 2 weeks,
exactly.
And like if Embiid is healthy and he can match up against these bigs, that's Dallas wins this trade, hands down. Because you already have Doncic, you have Embiid who can still shoot.
Yeah.
So it's like both teams win this trade, but the only reason I can say who would say no, I'd say Dallas would say no, just because Cuban, I don't think he wants to break up Porzingis and Doncic. You got the European connection,
Well, they want to at least give him a chance too, right?
Exactly.
If he was injured, bubble, weird situation anyways. They're both super young, right? So I don't know. Honestly, I think if they call and offer Embiid, I think they do it. I think if I had to say, Philly might say no, but honestly, I think it's a pretty fair trade, man.
Yeah.
Embiid with Doncic there, it's like, I think that would just be an insane combo, man. That pick and roll would be impossible to guard. Plus, the other Dallas bigs can shoot, right? Maxi Kleber can shoot. Dwight Powell tore his Achilles, before the shutdown, so he should be back this year. But yeah, either way, I think it's a good trade either way.
Yeah. Hi, Faraz.
Hello.
How's the pup?
She's good. She's roaming around in the room now.
We were just doing a little who says no trade scenario.
Who says no?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So
which one are we on?
So for you, this will be Chicago and Milwaukee. So I'm just thinking, obviously I want to get my Bucks to glory, and I don't want Giannis to leave just yet. But Chicago would get Bledsoe and the prospect DJ Wilson. Milwaukee would get back Zach LaVine.
DJ Wilson, you said?
Yeah.
DJ Wilson's the big guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Zach LaVine is only 3 or 19 mil.
19 per year. Yeah.
Oh, 19 per year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Chicago says no. I think they would want a little bit more.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too, actually. DJ Wilson's not quite enough as a sweetener. I was thinking having that as kind of like your 3-man big cornerstone with Wendell Carter, Lauri Markkanen, and DJ Wilson for the future, I think is pretty solid. And then you can kind of bank on Kobe White, and maybe flipping a Bledsoe. You still have Satoransky as well. Or maybe, there's possibilities of flipping Wendell Carter for a pick as well. But how do you think that does for Milwaukee, getting back Zach LaVine?
I think that'd be pretty nice for Milwaukee. It kind of gives them I guess it would be like a second scorer, because I don't really consider Giannis a scorer. It's like Middleton the scorer.
Yeah, good point.
It gives them that second like solid scorer or like spot up shooter when Giannis drives and he kicks out. This guy's gonna make it.
Yeah. The thing is, the one thing is like LaVine, he just shoots a lot, right? So the only kind of thing I was thinking with that is, if Giannis is bringing up the ball and LaVine's kind of fighting over it, I could see a little bit there. But think about the length of that team now as well. With Zach LaVine and Middleton as your backcourt, and then you have Giannis and Brook up front. Like, that's a super long team. You get off Bledsoe, who's been detrimental in terms of his shooting and whatnot. Maybe you got to throw DiVincenzo in there as well. That's not too bad. But Faraz, jump into your boys, the San Antonio Spurs, trying to stay relevant. With Denver, I came up with a possible scenario. So San Antonio would get Gary Harris, Will Barton, and a nice little bowl for the prospect feature there. And then DeRozan would go back to Denver. So San Antonio would be able to get off all that money, get back a ton of shooting, obviously some size prospects, which we know San Antonio utilizes. So how do you feel about that?
I think, honestly, as much as I love DeRozan, I think that's a very good trade for San Antonio. I think they would 100% do that. Yeah.
Too much, right?
I think that's some solid prospects right there. I mean, Bol, you don't really know.
Yeah.
It's mainly for Gary Harris and Will Barton.
Right.
Both guys play defense. Gary Harris is, I think, the better shooter out of the two, but Barton is still solid.
Yep.
I think those guys would fit into that Spurs system if Popovich is still there too.
Right, and I think, with DeJounte Murray coming back, it's a totally different team, right? We haven't really seen DeJounte and DeMar together, mind you, but in that case, it would be DeJounte Murray's team. You got a solid two-guard in Gary Harris. Will Barton's probably your sixth man, depending on, what's going on with like Rudy Gay and all that kind of stuff. And then, like you said, Bol's just a wild card, right?
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, he could be good. He could end up being just a flop.
Yeah, exactly. It could be just injuries, right? But then if you look at that from Denver, you're starting Jamal Murray, DeRozan, Jeremy Grant, and then either, MPJ or Millsap, and then you got Jokic. So
that's a stacked
dirty.
Wow.
Yeah, you have a lot less coming off the bench than they're typically used to, but they still got Monte Morris. They still have other pieces. So,
do you think that Denver team beats the LA team in a 7-game series in the Western Conference Finals?
If they have DeRozan instead, honestly, I don't think so. But I think it's a lot closer because Lakers still have the defense there for DeRozan. I think he doesn't pose a whole ton of threat for the Lakers. But yeah, I think Denver gets a lot better with that trade.
True.
Yeah. And then
I'm sorry, boys. You guys continue this.
Hold her in your hands.
Yeah.
No, she's just not going to do it right now. She's being I'm sorry.
Yeah. You guys, all good, homie.
All good.
Puppy first. So the last one I got here, Miami, Washington. So I just listened to a podcast this morning with the Low Post, and he was interviewing the Washington GM. Said absolutely Bradley Beal is not available. But hey, we're still going to go through it because this is something I would love to see. Bradley Beal with the Heat. So Miami would receive Bradley Beal. Washington would get Tyler Hero. We already talked about it a little bit. Kelly Olynyk, and then Derek Jones Jr. just for kind of money there. They probably flip him anyways. You get a little bit of shooting with Olynyk. Thomas Bryant, they're super excited about in Washington there, and they're likely to lose Bertans as well. So you get a little bit of shooting there. And then Tyler Hero is kind of your chip there. So what do you think about that from both sides?
Ooh, yeah, that Miami team is going to be like, you lose Hero, you lose Kelly, you lose Jones, but you gain 30 points a game in Beal.
Yep.
And then Miami does gain like a pure scorer, because I don't consider Jimmy a pure scorer. Jimmy gets buckets, but I don't think like he needs players around them to do well or have the same attitude as him. So if you add a 30-point a game scorer in Beal that can get his shot whenever he wants, that basically carried that Washington team all last year, and then you give Jimmy his same role, that team goes off for what, 55, 60 wins potentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then you got you still have Crowder. Crowder is a 3-point threat, I think.
Yeah,
he showed it in the playoffs. Like he hit two a game against Indiana, 4 threes a game against Milwaukee. So it's like,
don't even
there's your
bring
shooter.
It up. Fuck, man.
Yeah,
Kill us.
Game 1 against Boston, he hit 5. So I'm like, come on. But like Dragic can handle that load. Like Beal and Jimmy, he has at his disposal. You still have Bam.
Yeah,
I think losing Hero is not the biggest issue in the world if you do get somebody like Beal. But in terms of Washington's side, I think it gives them, if they are in the rebuild, which I think they should be going towards, once John Wall comes back, like you have pure shooter, could potentially turn into a pure scorer in Hero. Kelly, who'll big man spread the floor, and then Jones Jr., who's just freakishly athletic.
Yeah.
you add them with John Wall, who can get his own whenever he wants, a healthy John Wall.
Yeah, and
I think that opens
the game.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that opens up the floor for Hero as well.
Yeah,
it's like when Hero played with Jimmy, everybody packed the paint on Jimmy because there's no, and like was available to help more because Jimmy's not shooting the 3.
Right.
So if in Washington, Hero could eat just because everybody's focused on John Wall.
Right.
And Hero's like playing that second fiddle, like Chris Middleton style, can hit 4 or 5 threes a game.
Yeah.
So I mean,
exactly.
I think Washington would say no, but they shouldn't say no.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Because Hero, I think, is more on the same timeline as what Washington is. Right. Ideal situation: John Wall comes back, Beal's committed, and maybe they flip Bertans there and try to get something else. But I think he's more on the timeline of like Hachimura. They obviously made a mistake getting rid of Kelly Oubre for Trevor Ariza, but and then I think you get 2 solid pieces there in terms of Olynyk, Derek Jones. Jones probably has some value somewhere. But we pretty much got proven that like Kelly can't really play in the playoffs that like effectively, right? Like Lakers picked him apart. Obviously he serves a purpose and he does well. He has those big game per series, but I think you'll take that. You'll play Myers Leonard instead. They're comparable, and you get back Bradley Beal. I think Miami would do that in a heartbeat. Washington's probably the team to say no there. I think that's all I got for who would say no.
I think one more point on that. I think any team would say yes to Beal. Like that's why I think Washington's so protective over him, because you offer Beal for almost anything, the other team's saying yes. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, he's kind of like the main thing right now that could get moved, right?
Exactly.
Whereas Giannis could go, blah, blah, blah. It's all kind of like a year away. Chris Paul's kind of like the main trade piece right now. So, yeah, if Bradley Beal's on the market, I think a lot of guys are available.
Oh, yeah.
With the draft super close, like who do you want to see get traded this season or this off season before the season starts here?
For selfish reasons, I want to see Ibaka on the Celtics.
Okay.
I would like to see a dominant big men that we can, like, no disrespect to Tice. Tice held his own in the playoffs, like, quite sufficiently, I'd say. But the lack of, like, defending and consistency every game, like, there were some games where Tice would be sitting 90% of the game. Cantor wouldn't even come in, and we'd play small.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I feel like if you put Ibaka on the Celtics, you spread the floor with the big man 5 that can shoot a 3. He can hit the 2-3 threes a game.
Yep.
And, like, defensively, you have the block. You have his blocking ability. Like, that basically takes care of anything in the paint, I'd say, with Ibaka. And I think the dude in the right situation is potentially on the verge of, like, cracking into an all-star game on a weak year.
Wow.
So, like, on the right situation, I think, and staying healthy, obviously.
Yeah.
I think Ibaka would be the Celtics would be helped so much having Ibaka on that team.
Wow. You know, obviously Ibaka's not what he used to be. I'll say that first and foremost. You know, it's not OKC Ibaka or early Toronto, but he's definitely an upgrade. But what do you think about then you're kind of stunting Robert Williams there? You know, he looks pretty solid.
I love that guy, man. I love that guy's, but, like, he's still young, right? I think.
Yeah.
Also, with having Ibaka, you get the growth with Rob Will. Like, you get that proper big man who you can learn from. Instead, like, he's sort of learning as on the fly with, like, Tice or Cantor or Taco.
Right,
Or he's not even learning from Taco, like, he's older than him, but still. Like, you need that established big man to, like, teach him the ropes, because you just watch him play and he's so raw.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much potential in there, but he's so raw that, like, you expect the mistakes.
Yeah.
But I think maybe 2-3 years, Rob Will could, maybe not next season, but the season after, Rob Will should become a good piece for the Celtics.
Like, you're starting big on, like, you know,
I sure
championship
hope so.
Pursuing. Yeah. I think so too, man. He looks solid, but Ibaka with those Celtics would definitely be an upgrade. You would probably just lose Cantor in that scenario and keep Tice and Robert Williams, and if you want to play small, Grant Williams.
Yeah.
But then you have all your wing guys too. You still have Gordon Hayward, you know, JT, JB, all those, Marcus Smart, all those guys. I think obviously he would do super well there. Toronto fans would absolutely hate him, and that would make me happy. So, for me, dude, it's Kevin Love, man. That guy's got to get the fuck out of Cleveland. Yeah. You know, like, he's like, I don't know. I love Kevin Love. I was super against him getting traded to the Cavs back in the day. Yeah. I wish that they had kept Wiggins and tried that with LeBron, because same thing, growth. And anyways, that's another day. But Kevin Love, I've always obviously I fucking look like him. I play like him. You know, he's the hope for any white boy dream. So Kevin Love, I'm trying to think, like, where would be ideal? Portland's always been the rumor. Your Celtics would be unreal. But Phoenix, I think, would be a nice fit too. So what do you think about those three?
Ooh. Portland would be sick. He's from Oregon too, right? So, like, it'd be like a going back home type thing. And he'd be a more efficient, better 3-point shooter than Nurkic, I think.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Spread the floor a bit more, bigger body to set screens for Dame and CJ.
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix would be dope too, but I think they have their young core already, and they don't really need somebody that old.
Yeah,
you know, like,
fair enough.
But I think Portland probably would be the best place for him if he was to go anywhere. But yeah, I agree. He does need to get the fuck out of Cleveland.
Yeah.
He should have been gone when LeBron was gone, honestly.
Yeah. Well, he signed that massive deal, and then LeBron was like, he got his ring, he got his deal. He's like, okay.
He's just living his best life now.
Oh, dude, straight up. Have you seen the guy's Instagram?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, the guy's living it. I think Portland would be nice. Like you said, hometown connection. Get Whiteside the fuck out of there. And then you got your three bigs as Nurkic, Kevin Love, and Zach Collins is going to be coming back healthy too, right? So you can go any kind of iteration of that. Kevin Love at the 5 with Zach Collins. Those guys are both shooters. Nurkic and Kevin Love, Nurkic and Zach Collins. Really don't think you could play all three of them. I don't think. But then you have your two solid ass guards as well. So as always, Portland's still missing their wing guy that they've never had. But I do think Portland makes the most sense. Phoenix, I agree. He's definitely not on the same timeline. But like, if they could do that and get Chris Paul, Booker, Kevin Love, DeAndre Ayton, Saric is out of there. Kaminsky, get the fuck out of there. Whoever else they got, Bridges or some shit. Portland probably makes the most sense. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And then another one I would like to see go is Davis Bertans. Again, listening to that podcast kind of contradicts all my thoughts here, but he was kind of saying how, Bertans is, they're hoping to re-sign him and that he's, perfect player to play with John Wall, they were kind of saying, but I would love to see him go to a contender. My Bucks would be great. Lakers would be great.
Celtics would be sick.
Celtics would be nice. Who wouldn't want that guy, right? But I think Houston could really use him. Yeah. If they don't get enough, they get Westbrook to stay. They decide to, try to play a little more traditional with like a big, not necessarily Bertans, but Bertans is one of your bigs. I think that's deadly. Westbrook and Bertans on your bench, and then Harden kind of comes off of that. So I would love to see Bertans go. Yeah.
Yeah, Bertans was on the trading block last year too, like right around trade deadline, and then he stayed. But yeah, that guy's like a very underrated piece for a team.
Yeah.
They're a big man who can shoot, like shoot a consistent clip. What?
Yeah. Yeah. He's like over 40% shooter, and he's shooting from like Curry range, like legit from Curry range. He had an unreal season leading up to the shutdown, and then that happened, and then the bubble, and he's just like, fuck that. My trade value is sky high. I'm not playing.
Did Washington go to the bubble? They did, right?
Washington went, but no John Wall, no Beal, no Bertans. It was just straight bums. Ish Smith was starting, man.
Oh, man. That's brutal.
Yeah. Good shit, man. That's kind of all I had for trade scenarios. I'm sure a lot will happen before our next one leading up to the draft. Hopefully there will be a lot to talk about. But yeah, I'm talking excited, man. It's coming up quick.
Yeah, what? A month and 8 days, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's just going to be like every other week's just going to be something, right? Draft next week, free agency week after that, and training camp a couple weeks after that.
I like it. I like it.
It's going to be fucking great. Good shit, man. Thanks.
Hi, sir.
Cool. Peace.
Thanks for stopping by to Sesh'n with us. If you like what we're doing, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, tell your neighbor, tell your dog. Peace.